Hello everyone and welcome back to Locke's Quest. Today we'll be taking on our first mission in the north, really, in the powdery north, snowy north, the tundra. Anyway, Gens has needed our assistance with the village. As you can see, there are no Arcaneers around, as the Arcaneer that was here has actually gone and either has perished or was taken back to Antonia for medical attention. You can talk to all these people like I do, and basically they needed an Arcaneer in order to help the morale of the soldiers, because, you know, the soldiers, they're alright and all, but they can't really do the work of a wall. You don't really expect what you get out of battle, now do you, soldier? If you're peaceful people, why would you defend a source well? Leave it alone! There are like 50 other source wells in the entire world. Later on in the game, and helicopters overhead. Later in the game, you have to defend 3 of them at the same time. So let's show this build phase. Now we have the anti-magic traps. That means we're going to be meeting the magician clockworks here. The magician clockworks are probably the hardest clockworks in the game to defeat. Meaning that when I say that, I'll mean as though they're hard as in to hit, or they have like high defense. When I say hard to defeat, I mean they do a lot of damage. One magician clockwork can take down a wall within a few seconds, and they're not exactly pushovers when it comes to damaging Locke either, I guess. So I guess they are hard to defeat in a way. Right here, I'm having trouble setting up stuff. As you can see, you can't actually place a turret wall in front of another wall so close by. They have to be at least one square unit or one grid unit apart from each other. That way they won't overlap each other. I don't know why that is. Well, actually I understand why, but still kind of You don't really like that. Yeah, see, like that, you can't place walls like that. You have to extend this wall, like you'd have to extend the side wall a bit, and then extend the and then you can place a turret down, because at least then there's a square difference in space. This defense is not the best, and I don't. Whoa! Something was caught in my tongue there, or on my mouth. Anyway, I'll be the first one to admit that this section of the game is probably the hardest section for me to defend with. I eventually just, as you'll see in the subsequent parts of the missions, I eventually just give up on trying to make a very, very, very stable defense and just go for walls, which actually, in this type of section, works as a stable defense. That knight right there, that pikeman right there, is actually going to go down later on. We might as well build the trap while we're here. The trap that the magic trap basically deflects magical attacks, meaning that they don't actually finish their animation. The magicians don't actually do the attack. Instead, the magicians do they do their animation, but they can't actually finish their attack. And creating the trap for it is a bit annoying. Not too much of a trouble though. Those arms are... I don't believe those arms actually go to any helper turrets, but we will have... Once you start to see arms in your build menu, you can actually start knowing that you're about to build helper turrets soon enough. Defending that pikeman is a kind of a risky idea, because you really don't care. You really shouldn't care about him. You should care more about the pikeman and archer there. I don't know if you noticed it in the last part, but the archers can actually shoot through your walls, which makes them quite useful, because with the ability to shoot through your walls and hit the enemy, they actually do more damage. They actually do a lot of damage to the enemy on their own, which extra damage to the enemy from a source that does not require you to create it is good. That's the best type of defense I can make for now. as far as for this battle. Subsequent battles will have to make a different type of defense because I need to leave this area a lot easier, and I need to get around the map farther. This section of the game is actually one of the few in the entire game that require you to do separate objectives other than just defend. You have extra objectives added to your list, which I wish they had done more of, and if they expanded it, I think it would have made the game a lot less monotonous and tedious. Or tedious and monotonous. Or that's the same thing. Or is it? One enemy I don't think we've ever been actually introduced to are the Chargers and the Knights. I believe I skipped the days that they were introduced. Knights, just that way I can make sure for the sake of my head and I won't do it again. Knights are heavier versions of the original Clockworks, which means that they do a lot more damage than the original Clockworks. And Chargers basically ram into your walls and do extra damage to them due to that. Or maybe I'm mixing Left 4 Dead 2 logic here, but they do the same thing as Chargers in Left 4 Dead 2. They run to your walls and try to destroy them pretty easily. They try to pick them off. Shielder Clockworks, which I believe I did skip their day, or I skipped explaining them, they basically take distracted turrets. You remember that Shielder Kingdom Force guy who during the Siege minigame he will basically take all the shots for the Clockworks? While that's on a 2D plane, even on the 3D perspective, these Shielder type enemies, and I come up with that wall, you can hear it breaking up. I already lost a wall there. But these Shielder type enemies take all your turret fire, and they're really annoying to deal with because, unlike in the Siege minigame where they go down like 2 shots from your cannonballs, the Shielder enemies here take a lot of damage, and as they go higher and higher in level and power, they take longer to kill. Which makes them actually one of the most annoying enemies in the game next to the healer Clockworks, who are basically the medics of the Clockwork army. Not only are they the medics of the Clockwork army, they're also one of the most annoying medics because they actually heal the army. Their attack is also their special ability, which means that they heal the army as well as attack lock. Right here in this part of the game, even if you didn't use it a lot in the last section, this is where you're really going to want to use your special abilities. And I lost that turret, which means that's a lot of source gone. One thing about this section of the game is you really don't want to lose a lot of source because you're going to have to leave this area, like I said before, for different objectives, and all that source is going to be necessary in order to make the proper defenses while you're away, because you won't be able to actually rebuild those unless you leave the objective, and you only have a certain amount of time, mind you. Everything's timed, even those objectives. By the way, we still beat the day with some losses to our walls. I don't understand. We're doing a defense. I guess this is using defense as offense because once you if you defend the turret and then use a guerrilla mission to take down the leaders of the other team, I guess that takes them down pretty easily. One thing I've always wanted to bring up was the multiplayer of Locke's Quest. Locke's Quest has a local co-op and I believe online co-op. I don't think it was. Well, actually, no, I don't think it was online. I don't think it was Wi-Fi enabled, but it was local co-op or local versus. And in the local versus, I never actually got to play it because no one in my area had Locke's Quest. So, if anyone has the knowledge of how this is where that pikeman's gonna die. Next day, we're not gonna see him. But if anyone has knowledge about how the local co-op, the local versus went, please inform me, because I've never seen. Even though I don't like looking up YouTube videos of DS games that are camcorded and the like, I still would like to have known what the local co-op was like, because I never really got to play it, and I never really knew how it worked. Is it just your characters? You build walls for both of yourselves, and you have constant Kingdom Force / Clockworks
attacking, which means that you have that one character is the Clockwork Army, the other one's King Force Army, and both sides try to take down the walls, and whoever messes up first loses. Because a game like Lock's Quest, I've never really understood what the verses would be like. I mean, it doesn't seem like it'd be that easy, nor that challenging. Actually, no, challenge sounds like it'd be high. It doesn't sound like it'd be that easy. It seems like it would be kind of all over the place. At least the difficulty of it. We'll be on this area in the second half. In part 7, we'll be in that area. And a problem with Lock's Quest is the movement. For some reason back there, the game was fighting me when I was trying to get away from those clockworks and not get sandwiched in between a knight and a soldier. Not exactly the most attractive situation to be in, if I must say. Taking down shield or clockworks is actually a lot easier using your own bare hands, and we want to kill these guys quick because they're about to destroy the wall. They almost destroyed something, but they didn't. And that's the problem with this section. It's not it's a problem, but I'm trying not to nitpick it to death, because while it's a problem, it's not something that kills the game or the immersion. But the problem with it is just that since you're not near your walls, you can't defend them, and since you can't defend the walls, you know, basically you're stuck with whatever you got. And it really, excuse me, yawning. It's like 9 o'clock now. I don't know why I keep yawning at 9, but that's because I guess when I was younger, I used to have to go to sleep at 9. That was a late night, quote unquote. Anyway, since you're away from your walls, you can't defend them or protect them, which means that if anything breaks the walls, the damage that you're gonna see is just gonna be massive. Which is why I recommend a lot of the time to not do what I did the first day, and instead use your resources on the 2 walls. As you can see here, my wall, I have 2 sets of walls defending the source well, and I'm low on source because I had to use a lot of source in order to rebuild and repair. And as you can see, these are the magician clockworks, the ones with the guys with the stone around them. And, well, if you couldn't tell. And the magician clockworks are actually tough. The magician clockworks actually have one of the strongest single attacks in the entire game, next to bosses. And the boss of the magician clockwork is very tough. His name is Pain. No, not Pain. Pain was I think his name was Mute. Probably getting that right. But the magician clockwork are pretty difficult to fight. They like to use their stone attack, and then later on, when we get to the more elite magician clockworks, they'll start using fire attacks. And these attacks do a lot more damage to Lock than the stone does alone. And the stone already does almost 1/3 of his health bar by itself. Yep, that wall is gone because magician clockworks. And that's why I hate them. And I have to go over here and save this, because if I don't, those magicians will take down my entire fortress. So with this, we're saving the citizens, if you can tell by the dialogue, and this mission, if I had to give a small review of it, it's a pretty easy mission. It's not really too difficult, it's not too easy either though. The magician clockworks don't exactly give you an easy time, considering they're a ranged attack as well as do a lot of physical damage to Lock. As you can see, I'm getting a lot of scrap. That means I'm going to get a new trap soon enough. Some of the scrap you get in the game is literally just fake out scrap, as I'll call it. It's just scrap that doesn't do anything, it just sits there in your inventory. Like, you get it, but you don't do anything with it. Like, there are enough, like, you'll get enough scrap to make everything in the game, more than likely. I'm just saying that there's scrap that you don't need. And as you can see, enemies will pass by these guys, so you want to walk away from them for a minute to get any other ones or anything else.
because with the enemies passing by those guys, they're a bit irritating to get those two villagers. One thing about the villager saving is that you have to, if you walk away from said villager, I believe it resets you back to 0 as far as, and you saw the artifact that was firing at the guy, it resets you back to 0 as far as saving the villager. But overall, that's been this part of Locke's quest. We finished up to day 20, we're a fifth through the game. See you next time.